Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about a well-known concept in psychology called Mehrabian's rule. Some of you might already be familiar with it. It's the idea that people judge impressions more by facial expressions and tone of voice than by the words themselves. But here's the thing. This rule is often misunderstood. Today I want to help you understand Mehrabian's rule correctly and explore how we can use it in our daily lives, our work, and our relationships. 1. What Mehrabian's rule is. Let's start with the basics. In 1971, American psychologist Albert Mehrabian conducted research on how people interpret emotions and attitudes. He found that, when people try to understand someone's feelings, the weight of different cues is roughly words, verbal content, 7%. Tone of voice, 38%. Facial expressions and body language, 55%. In other words, a large part of how we form impressions comes from nonverbal cues rather than the words themselves. This is what we often refer to as the 7-3-8-5-5 rule, Mehrabian's rule. 2. Common misunderstandings. It's important to clarify one thing. This rule does not apply to all communication. Mehrabian's research focused specifically on emotional messages, like feelings of liking or disliking. For example, if someone says, "I like you," with an angry expression, we tend to trust the expression and tone over the words. But in a math class, if a teacher says 3 times 3 equals 9 with a smile, it doesn't change the truth of the statement. So, Mehrabian's rule is really about emotional communication, not every type of message. Yet, the phrase words only account for 7% of communication has often been taken out of context, and that's how the misunderstanding spread. 3. Why non-verbal cues matter. Even so, the rule highlights an important truth. We receive most of our information from non-verbal cues. Without even realizing it, we pick up on expressions, posture, eye contact, tone of voice, pauses, and gestures. For instance, if someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice shakes, we instinctively sense that something is off. Or if a manager says, "I trust you," but crosses their arms and frowns, we might feel that they actually don't. Humans have evolved to read these nonverbal signals long before words existed. Facial expressions, gestures, tone, they have always been part of how we communicate emotions. 4. Consistency builds trust. So, how can we communicate in a way that really gets through? The key is consistency. If you say, "I'm confident about this project," but your eyes dart around nervously and your voice is soft, your audience will doubt you. But if you stand tall, speak with a strong, calm voice, and smile gently, your words gain far more impact. Mehrabian's rule reminds us that verbal and nonverbal cues need to match. When words, tone, and expression are aligned, people sense authenticity. They know you mean what you say. 5. Applying this in everyday life, building trust through communication. So, how do we apply this in our daily lives? Let's look at a few examples. A. Interviews or presentations. It's important to prepare your content, of course, but if your tone and expression don't match, it won't land. Smiling and speaking at a clear, friendly pace instantly conveys sincerity and confidence. B. Relationships and dating. Words like "I love you," "thank you," or "I'm sorry" carry different meanings depending on your tone and expression. Even if you feel shy, making eye contact and speaking warmly can multiply the impact of your words. C. Leadership or teaching. A leader or teacher may say, "I trust you," but if their expression is tense and they avoid eye contact, the message doesn't reach people. Trust is built as much through actions and presence as through words. 6. Nonverbal communication in the digital age. Today, a lot of our communication happens online, via emails, chat, or social media. Here, facial expressions and tone are hard to convey. That's why we've adapted new non-verbal signals like emojis, stickers, line breaks, and punctuation. These help convey emotion in text. For example, saying "thank you" with a smile in your voice and friendly warmth feels very different from a flat, emotionless "thank you." It's not about right or wrong, it's about how your message is perceived. 7. Becoming a communicator who truly connects. Finally, the biggest lesson Mehrabian's rule teaches us can be summed up in one line. People notice you before they even hear your words. No matter how polished your words are, if your eyes and expression lack sincerity, your message won't resonate. But even imperfect words, spoken from the heart with warmth and presence, reach people. This is the essence of authentic human communication. In conclusion, Mehrabian's rule doesn't say words are meaningless. It says that words are strengthened by your tone and presence. When you speak or listen, pay attention to the other person's expressions and voice. And when you want to convey your feelings, align your words with your tone and expressions. When you do, your message will go far beyond the 7% of words. It will reach people completely, with trust and emotion. Thank you.